Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayaveta Swamini Dinare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Dinare Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachari Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitan Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Guru Vacham Welcome everyone again to this very auspicious event, the last Puja celebration of Sripad Srila Kadamba Swami Maharaj. In my talk, I want to also speak a little bit about the meaning of Vyasa Puja in general, because many of us are still quite new to this, and even if we know it, it's still good to remind us. It's very unusual Vyasa Puja for all of us. It's the first time that Guru Maharaj is not personally present on this earth in physical form, and his disappearance was 6 weeks ago. So already, again, it's celebrating his appearance. Srila Prabhupada explains that actually the appearance and the disappearance of the spiritual master is not different. It's that a great spirit, great saintly person, whether they live or they die, Jiva va Amara, it's the same. In their life, they engage in pure devotional service, and after they leave this world, they do exactly the same thing. They're transparently situated beyond time, place, and circumstance. Just like Krishna, because they're always with Krishna. So but still, because it's the appearance day, I want to highlight that aspect more than the disappearance, which is often celebrated. Generally, Vyasa Puja is most often celebrated on Guru Purnima. It's the first full moon of Chaturmasya. And often it's widely celebrated actually in Vedic culture, often in a very ritualistic way. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he changed that format a little bit. Maybe also this format may have been present in other sanghas as well. But he started celebrating on his 50th birthday the Vyasa Puja on the appearance day of the spiritual master. And so that's why we also do that. We celebrate the Vyasa Puja on the appearance of the spiritual master. And following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada. And of course, it's not actually the actual appearance day today. That will be on the 19th this week. But this worked well for everyone. And also, it's not actually the day. The Guru Puja is not the day. The Vyasa Puja is not. The day is not so essential actually when we do it. It's the spirit in which we do it. As Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that the essence of Vyasa Puja is to take shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. And the whole process of bhakti starts with Adava Guru Padasana, to take shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. And nothing else, nothing good can come unless we take shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. That's why every day we do Guru Puja. Every day we take shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master. And from that, all our other devotional service flows. Because through Guru we take shelter of Krishna. And through Guru we receive the mercy of Krishna. And without that mercy, whatever we have, what devotional service can we really do? So So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that this day is actually this is kind of our new year in a way. Because every day we start with taking shelter of the spiritual master. And this is the first day of the year where we do that. This is the beginning of a new year where we take shelter. And from here, every day onwards, we renew our commitment. And from here, every day onwards, we take shelter of him. So, Srila Prabhupada explains the meaning of Vyasa Puja. And why it's called Vyasa Puja. Why is it not called Guru Puja? It's called Vyasa Puja, and there's a specific meaning to that. Many of you may know this, but still, for this occasion, it's appropriate to repeat it. Srila Prabhupada says, Vyasadeva is the original Acharya. Therefore, the birthday of Guru is called Vyasa Puja. Guru is the representative of Vyasadeva. The throne, here we have the throne, it's called the Vyasasana, the sitting place of Vyasadeva. So one who's a representative of Vyasadeva, he can sit on this throne. So Guru, by Parampara system, Guru sits seated on the Vyasasana because he's the representative. I'm just noticing actually, I'm sitting on a higher seat than Gurudev, which is not appropriate. So with your permission, I'm just going to take a lower seat. Is it okay? Everyone can still see me, right?
Yes.
So here's the problem with this money. Why is
Everything
called
has
Vyasa
to be
Puja?
connected into the one last
Because
one.
Vyasa is the original Guru. All Vedic knowledge comes to us through Vyasa.
On the phone or camera?
Vyasadeva, he edited all the 4 Vedas.
So I think I'm here.
He put his disciples in charge of different branches of Vedic knowledge and has been distributed throughout the world. He of course compiled Mahabharata, in which we find Bhagavad Gita, the essence of all Vedic knowledge. He compiled the Vedanta Sutras, which is also the essence of all the Upanishads, all Vedic knowledge. And of course, after doing all that, he's still not quite satisfied. So then he compiled the right and fruit of all Vedic knowledge in Bhagavatam. So Vyasadeva is the embodiment of all the Vedic knowledge, of all the Vedic conclusions. He perfectly distilled those Vedic conclusions and handed them to us in those scriptures. So Gurudev, the spiritual master, simply repeats what Vyasadeva has given us. He passes on that message, those conclusions distilled by Vyasadeva, Srila Vyasadeva. And Vyasadeva not only compiled the Vedic knowledge, he also fully realized that. Bhakti yogena manasi samya pranite mane pasyat purisham puna mayam chitta. Vyasadeva fully engaged himself in Bhakti Yoga. And as a result, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his heart. He realized all the conclusions. He had direct experience of that knowledge. And he tirelessly worked for the oblivion of everyone else of the Buddhist world, to distribute this Vedic knowledge. So we see how Vyasadeva had those perfect qualifications of the Guru, the original Guru. As the original Guru. He was Shrotriyam, fully learned in all the Vedic knowledge, and Brahmanishtam, fully absorbed in devotional service to the Supreme Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and that's what we celebrate today. And we passes on the same conclusions. We celebrate the appearance of a person who fully immersed himself in learning those conclusions in the Parampara. Fully assimilated why the Guru is also considered represented Lord Nityananda, because he serves the Lord by distributing Vedic knowledge. There's a very nice pastime in the Chaitanya Bhagavad where Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they're dancing very blissfully in kirtan. And after the kirtan, Lord Chaitanya said, Sripad, addressing Lord Nityananda, tomorrow, or I think it's in a couple of days, there's the Vyasa Puja, the Guru Purnima is coming up. So, how are you going to celebrate this? And not how, where are you going to celebrate this? And then Nityananda is blissfully thinking, and Srivas standing next to him. I'm going to celebrate in the house of this Brahman. So Srivastava is very ecstatic, of course, to do this, facilitate this celebration. So then all arrangements were made for the Vyasa Puja, and they installed nice picture of Srila Vyasa, all kinds of paraphernalia brought, made a elaborate, beautiful garment. So when the celebration was about to start, Srila Thakur handed the garland to Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and he said, "You can now offer the garland." And Lord Nityananda was just standing there with the garland. He was kind of murmuring something, nobody could quite understand what he was saying. And kind of Srila encouraged him, "Please offer the garland." And then finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw he's not offering the garland, so he went to Lord Nityananda to kind of produce and offer the garland. And then Lord Nityananda saw Lord Chaitanya appeared and they offered him the garland as the original spiritual master. So in this way, actually, what happened then, Lord Chaitanya had exhibited a six-armed form before Lord Nityananda. Four arms of Lord Vishnu, and he had two extra arms. Everyone knows what were the two extra arms? What was he holding? He was holding the plow and the mushala, the club of Lord Balaram. This showing that he is the spiritual master, but more so even in this sense, is Lord Balaram, Nityananda Balaram, who's the original spiritual master, is not different from him. Because he's the original servitor, the Supreme Personality of Servitor God, is probably the phrase there. Because the Lord Nityananda, what makes a guru is that intense, full absorption in pure devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God. And that's primarily exhibited by Lord Nityananda Balaram. Beautifully exhibited the person of Lakshmana, who never even slept. He was so absorbed in the service of Lord Rama. And day and night, he just attended to Lord Rama. And Lord Nityananda had the same mood towards Lord Chaitanya. Lord Balaram had the same mood towards Lord Krishna, and Lord Nityananda the same mood towards Lord Chaitanya. So that servitorship, the original sense of full servitorship, is said to originate from Lord Nityananda. And of course, Lakshmana attended to Lord Ram day and night, staying with him. And also Lord Nityananda wanted to stay with Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya sent him out. He said, "Don't stay with me." Actually, he ordered him to spread the gift he was bringing in this world. Anyone and everyone without any qualification, not considering their qualifications. So he sent him to Bangalore to preach, and to teach others about Krishna, to give them the holy name of Krishna, to induce them to worship Krishna, to tell people, to give them their sinful activities. So this is what Lord Nityananda did. He went door to door, tears in his eyes, begging everyone, as a beggar, to take up Krishna consciousness, to take up the chanting of the holy names. And we see that acharyas in the line after him have followed that mood, and that mood of Lord Nityananda is so perfectly manifested in Srila Prabhupada. Both Prabhupada is the perfect representative of Vyasa, by distilling the essence of all the Vedic knowledge and giving that to everyone, assimilating that and giving that widely, distributed widely in the world. And he perfectly exhibited the mood of Lord Nityananda by giving it to anyone and everyone, as it almost like a beggar. Prabhupada often quoted the verse of Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur, which he inspired him. He said, I take a straw between my teeth, and I beg you, you're a very great person, but I beg you, give up all your, whatever you have to take shelter of Lord Krishna. So Prabhupada had that mood of Lord Nityananda, more than any acharya in the history, practically, of Sampradaya. That's why Sridhar Maharaj, Sri Prabhupada's godbrother, said he is a Nityananda Avesh, he's an empowering incarnation of Lord Nityananda. And Prabhupada instilled that mood to his followers, and that brings us to our celebration today. This was just an introduction, setting the scene of why this is called Vyasa Puja, and the deeper meaning of Vyasa Puja, what Vyasa did, and through the pastime of the Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda celebrated Vyasa Puja, we can understand that even beyond Vyasa Deva, there's Lord Nityananda Balaram is the original Guru. And then Srila Prabhupada exhibited perfectly, represented perfectly both Vyasa and Lord Nityananda, both of these original Guru, in the most profound way. And why we're here celebrating this Vyasa Puja today? Because through our spiritual master, we get access to the line of mercy, to the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, through the Vedic conclusions given by Vyasa. Actually, Vyasa Puja is not just the worship of the spiritual master. It's not just the worship of this person. Through the worship of our spiritual master, we worship all the Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas. Now this is what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explained on his 52nd birthday, the second Vyasa Puja celebration. That this is actually the worship of all the Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas through our present spiritual master. Who gives us access to that? Who gives us access to all of them? Srila Prabhupada writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, quote, the bona fide spiritual master always engages in unalloyed devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By this test, he is known as a direct manifestation of the Lord and a genuine representative of the Sri Nityananda Guru. Such a spiritual master is known as Acharya. So, His Holiness Kadamba Swami Maharaj, he started a spiritual in Vrindavan. She had met devotees before that, but he wasn't so impressed. He often tells the story how he was in Amsterdam and a van parked on the dance square, the main square. And in his words, way too many people came out of that van. And they looked like, all headed. They started this very little frenzied kid standing in a circle. And he was a little distrustful of him. And shortly after they heard the kind of principles they followed. And then he thought, they must be quite dangerous, they're kind of fanatic. So he was very skeptical about the rules at first. But finally, one of his friends told him to go to Kanana. So he said he arrived in Mathura. He already had a ticket actually to India, but the friend told him that. Many things happened before that. He already got more familiar with Bhagavad Gita and so forth. But he walked from Mathura all the way to Vrindavan. And he entered Vrindavan to the Prabhupada gate. And that's such a symbolic, it's such a picturesque sight. You can just remember Kadamba Swami Maharaj as a young, 25, 24-year-old person walking through that gate. And after that, never really the same. Because there he saw, the Prabhupada just passed away in 1978. Then saw that actually the devotees are great souls, they are so dedicated to this person out of love. And this really intrigued him. He started to understand more what Srila Prabhupada really was and what he did and how authentic he was. And that was one thing, one word which is very important to Kanana Swami is authenticity. Be real. And he saw this is real, Prabhupada is real. And the attachment you always have is real. So then from that point his spiritual life really started. He didn't really join this one, he joined Prabhupada. By understanding his greatness. And of course in the years after, be real. And he saw the various things he has done in those holy towns like Vrindavan and Maya and service to the Prabhupada. His sister of Prabhupada, establishing the holy place was so dear to him, so important to him. We can all imagine what they all went through, right? He put his life on the line, literally. And he almost died. We all know the story of how he was shot and so forth. And Jayalalitha Maharaj expressed this in his offering in the memorial and celebration in Vrindavan. So, in this way, he became Prabhupada here. I became very dear to Prabhupada. Prabhupada became very dear to him. The Maharaj says that he got so much mercy in those holy towns from Srila Prabhupada, from also so many Vaishnavas, so many followers of Srila Prabhupada. And this built a very strong faith in Srila Prabhupada and a very strong faith in Srila Prabhupada's formula in Krishna consciousness. How Srila Prabhupada, like Lord Nityananda, distributed the gift of Mahaprabhu very widely. And that gift was entrusted to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada so perfectly passed that on to the Western world. He gave that formula how we can become Krishna conscious. And Guru Maharaj has full faith in that. His faith was absolutely uncompromising. And Guru was heavy. That faith in Srila Prabhupada and his core instruction, follow forward, hear the principles, chant 16 rounds, give this mercy to others, read his books, study his books, speak about others to Krishna. Yada Devi Tara Kaha Krishna Upadesh, Amara Gaya Tara. The instruction of Lord Chaitanya is that everybody should become a Guru by teaching about Krishna. Tell everyone about Krishna. Prabhupada did this. And Gurudev, by his attachment to Srila Prabhupada also, he fully, so deeply took that order upon him. So just give Krishna to everyone. Always be giving. Always be giving. Of course, Srila Jayalalitha Maharaj was also instrumental in that, seeing his qualifications. He gave him that order. You become a spiritual master. And he told me personally in his very last days, and I'll be ending soon. In his very last days, when I just was visiting him in Vrindavan, he could hardly speak. He was kind of like hunched over a little bit. And, he's just showing me all the paraphernalia of his Giraj and saying some encouraging words to me, showing his kindness, his affection. And he said, I took this responsibility very seriously of being a guru. He said, I've tried to do everything for my disciples, according to his capacity. He said, I don't know what else I could have done. I tried to do everything and I did not hold back. These are the exact words he told. And I took it very personally. If I would say that his disciples replaces with you, he said that I tried to do everything for you, I did not hold back. I took this very seriously, and I really felt it very deeply at that time. He just handed me over his aid. So many 25 years, so many steps along the way, always showing up again and again and again at every turn. I can speak for hours about all my personal memories. why our spiritual master is the perfect representative of Vyasa, giving us the same teachings of Srila Prabhupada, having fully assimilated those teachings, and how he so generously gave those teachings to us in the mood of Lord Nityananda, in the mood of Vyasa. In 2020, I actually wrote an offering to him. Glorifying him as the representative of Lord Nityananda. And then he wrote me back about the generosity of little Vaishnava we should have, the generous mood of Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda. He wrote me, quote, a Vaishnava doesn't just give a donation, or doesn't just give his time. A Vaishnava continuously gives himself. And that was his mood, to continuously give of himself. In the mood of give of himself to give us Krishna. And I've seen it again and again, even those last days. He was still giving so much. Whatever little energy he had, he was still giving that. When he got the news that he was about to depart, it wasn't that he was just going into his near-term budget. He was just like thinking so much about how to take care of his disciples, how to make sure they're well situated. Inviting them to Kanana. Even at some point he wanted to kind of close his doors a little bit after the parikramas in September. But those doors, they never closed. Only towards the very end, he just didn't have that energy anymore. Just a very few were with him. Even then, he was taking to his more senior disciples to make them stronger. But that is his mood, to continuously give of himself. Give everything. In the mood, I don't belong to myself anymore. My life doesn't belong to me. My whole life belongs to everyone. So when he took sannyas, not that it was not in the mood of losing himself anymore, but to give himself to the whole world. So that's why we compile this Kanana annually with us. Gaur Kripam Vishnu Raja Malapuri Prabhupada Priya Lokam Bhaya Kanibhaya. His Holiness Kadamba Swami Maharaj obtained the mercy of Lord Chaitanya in the holy dhams of Braja and Mayapur. Being very dear to Srila Prabhupada Priya, he continuously, ceaselessly endeavors to make the people of this world drink that mercy of Lord Chaitanya. That is his life, the sum and substance of his life. And he served Srila Prabhupada, he gave everything to serve Srila Prabhupada, he held nothing back, he fully followed his instructions, fully followed the instructions of his own guru, which included becoming a guru, and in the mood of Lord Nityananda, the original guru, he fully gave of himself to give Krishna to everyone, to all of us. So in this way we worship him today on the Vyasa Puja Day as the perfect representative of Srila Vyasa and Srila Nityananda Prabhu and Srila Prabhupada, who is the perfect embodiment of those, the mercy of those two personalities, those original gurus. So I wish I could speak more about memories and so forth, but I just wanted to set the scene. Why we're here today, why we glorify Guru Maharaj. What is that? What qualifies him to be in this position? And now we'll hear from everyone the glorification of his transcendental qualities and activities by which we become purified and by which we can renew our commitment to him as disciples. Like I said in the beginning, Bhakti Sajjan said, this is the first day of the year we offer Guru Puja, and from here on every day. So we renew our commitment to him. Shri Kadamba Swami Maharaj ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Prabhu Pranam.
Thank you very much, President Guru. So we will now call forward the disciples with the offerings with just a few points of order. So for the people listening online, many of us, I know for myself, I never used a microphone before I joined the Hare Krishna movement. I never sang in public, and I never knew how to use this thing. So for those of you just to remember when you're speaking, please make sure that you keep the microphone close, because the live stream, even if people can hear you, the live stream goes to the mic and then the whole world can hear you. I'll be calling the devotees forward, and at the same time I'll also be saying who is next, so that we have quite a few devotees who like to speak, and we just want to make sure everybody gets the opportunity around the right enough time. And so I have the service of sitting in the back. I have a little sign that I'll show you if you're coming close to the end of the time. So just keep an eye out for me. I'll be waving at you if that time comes. But we try to keep it about 5 minutes, that will be fine. So next we will ask for Tulsi Prabhu, and then after that, Pandava Prabhu. Please, Tulsi.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What was that just said brought some thoughts in my mind, and I was thinking about the authenticity of His Holiness Kadamba Maharaj. Definitely he was very authentic personality. He refused to play any other role than himself. And always he wanted to be himself. And even if sometimes devotees were trying to put him in a different role, he was refusing to play this. And he was using his Dutch nature to show that he doesn't want to play any other role. I remember even in the first years when I had the opportunity to be present on the Vyasa Pujas with Maharaj. And of course, we have our ideas how we have to celebrate Vyasa Puja and what should happen. And of course, one of the big things on Vyasa Puja is the big feast. Yeah, generally like all the, suppose they want to try my preparation. And he did it. He took basically maybe one bite of each preparation, but he tried his best to try all of them. But then next year for Vyasa Puja, he said, we will just keep this show with taking from the prasadam again. I won't do it anymore. And God's person, no, Guru Maharaj is very important, you have to try. And he said, then you sit down and then we will wash your feet and we will feed you to see how I feel. was very good in describing the things in this way. And also important thing that Maharaj was saying was that Vaishnavas, they like fun, they like jokes, they like to laugh. But he was saying, for the serious things, we have to be serious. We have to joke, we have to have fun in Krishna consciousness, but for the serious things, Maharaj was saying, we have to be serious. For our chanting, we have to be serious. For reading the books of Srila Prabhupada and understanding his teachings, we have to be serious. So, yes, he was stressing this point again and again and again. So maybe I'll stop here so that there is enough time for other devotees. His Holiness Kadamba Maharaj Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki.
After Pandava Prabhu, I'd like to ask Panchalata Prabhu to say something.
If we want to glorify the spiritual master, we need his mercy. We need mercy for everything. So, Kadamba Maharaj, often he liked to say that we have to do something special in order to conquer over the heart of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. So, I want to share with you one thing that he did. He did many things that conquered my heart, but I'll just share one of these occasions. It was 2004, I believe, and I was in Germany, Europe, and this was the Nishinga farm. We have a farm in Germany, and it was Nishinga Chturdashi. So it was fasting, and we fasted the whole day. And Maharaj, we were fasting and being exhausted, and Maharaj he like killed me. Not just sitting, but he was like hiding inside the farm. And more he fasted, more energy he gave himself. And then after this fast, we had to break the fast, and then there was this big tent, but as, I don't know, maybe not so much over here, but in Europe often it happens that you cannot be in the tent in one shift. So if you're conscious, and if you're Krishna conscious, then you are one of the first. So you enter, and then you sit, and then they serve prasad. And if you're a little late, then you have to wait outside. And God knows how long it will be, like 1 hour, because the devotees have to take prasad, and then they have to clean up, and then they will invite you to the second shift. So I was one of these unfortunate souls that we just couldn't make it. I was the first one that had been stopped at the gate. So I was not let in, and there were like many others behind me. So I was together with another devotee, friend of mine, and we just stayed there and just started waiting. And then Maharaj was sitting inside, and he was taking prasadam away. Maharaj saw me, and he made like a face. What happened? Why are you not here? What is spacing out? And Maharaj, he was just gesturing. He was far away. We just waited. And then Maharaj stood up, came, was crowd of devotees behind me. He came and he just pointed to us, two of us, and he told the guards, okay, these two they can go. And we were let in. And since then I've been always thinking that this is the only possible way I will ever get into the spiritual world. That's the only way. Because I'm not qualified, obviously. And this is the truth. But fortunately, this is not the highest truth. There is higher reality, there is higher truth. And this is the mercy of the pure devotee. So in the same way, we'll be waiting in front, and Jai will be not allowing us inside, and then Kadamba Maharaj will come out and will say, this wretched soul, poor, unfortunate soul, he also deserves the mercy, so he can go. And then there was no question of any discussion on this, we'll just let him. And I will end by saying that Maharaj, when he told me that he's going to leave this world, it happened last year, he knew it. He told me, so what you will do, Pandava? You will remember me for a while, and then you forget forever. So never forget Maharaj, because, and I'm sure of his disciples, not so much because of his great qualities, but because he was so personal, so involved in our lives, so much so that it's not possible to forget. He left such a deep impression, and he conquered all our hearts. His Holy Kadamba Maharaj Ji.
Next we'll ask Sanjana Guru and then Akita Guru. I guess this is sort of, these are the kind of moments that things hit home. When you realize that this world we won't meet again. So Maharaj and I had known each other for a long time. First in service in India in Mayapur. But I left Mayapur and I came to America for a few years, and he went to Mayapur and did some service. I came back to Mayapur, he was in Vrindavan. So our paths would cross, but we weren't at the same place until finally here in New York. We were, I was thinking, oh, now we get a chance. And it was a wonderful start. And when we came here, my wife and I, in 2019, and started interacting around the New York project. But then when we came last year and said, bad news, of course,
who knew, the hope was that for some miracle. And there was miracles, but not the one I was hoping for. And now he's looking down, I guess, as they say, on us. I was really inspired by that last message of his that he recorded, where it was, to me, the impression I got, the impression I got was that his eyes were opening to a level that I can only, at this point, just hope for. That with still one foot here in this world, he was dipping his toes into the spiritual world. The way he spoke of having a great festival when we all come together again. It just gave me this sense of someone who is having that positive realization, actual experience, not theoretical, but truly being carried in our life. I mean, I've been attempting to serve Srila Prabhupada for now 53 years. And every day I come closer, but it's still a distant place. Back home, back to God. It's still, for me, it's something I can imagine only a little bit, and even that, imagination fails. My impression was that Maharaj he was getting closer and closer, and to me it's such an important thing. The passing of devotees like him, they give us some glimpse into the spiritual world from their perspective. We may not see it ourselves, but they're seeing something and communicating it to us and giving us hope that if we stay in that same path, we'll get to the same place. So that's my hope, my prayer, to stay on that same path. I can't imitate his life, but I can try to adopt the same mood, try to cultivate, I should say, because I think I do have a similar mood, but I can try to cultivate the strength and the determination that I don't have so much by seeing his and serving Srila Prabhupada's mission here in New York, in Mayapur, wherever I am, and take heart that as he's promised you and me too, we'll have a great festival. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prabhu. Thank you, Mataji. And then after that, Sevika.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Jai Kadamba Kanana Maharaj. I always felt that Kadamba Kanana Maharaj was a friend. My husband and I first met him in Mayapur. He was our next door neighbor. It must have been 38 years ago because my oldest daughter is now 39, and there she was. We had a courtyard in the middle of the building. We'd all meet, and she was learning to walk, and she walked at a year old, and she just turned 39, so it must have been 38 years ago when I first met him. He was there looking after Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi. Now, that was an incredible service to do. He was quite a new devotee then, and he was given a lot of responsibility, and he pulled it off very well. We would meet off and on during the years. Everyone saw him as a responsible devotee. He became temple president in Vrindavan. No one wanted that service, as there was kind of like a mafia type thing going on there. And so he was the kind of person that liked to accept challenges. In fact, he took a bullet for Krishna. There was a war in Vrindavan at that time, and he never shirked from his duty. Kadamba Kanana Maharaj was interested in helping ISKCON here in New York. He stayed for a long time, and he was in and out of meetings all the time. Very, very interested in this project because he saw that Srila Prabhupada called New York the fatherland of Krishna consciousness. As India is the motherland, New York itself is the fatherland of Krishna consciousness. He was always focused on the mission of Lord Chaitanya. We ourselves are here to serve the mission of Lord Chaitanya. So let's stay in New York and try and assist Kadamba Kanana Maharaj with his mission. And the last time I saw him, he was telling me about his sadhana. He would get up at 2 o'clock every morning and chant his rounds then. And then go to Mangalati, and then after Mangalati, he'd read Srila Prabhupada's books. That's really an inspiration for me. Even this morning, I got up about 2:30 and I tried to do that chant before Mangalati, and I was thinking of him a lot when I was doing that and seeing how clear and wonderful our consciousness is then at that time of the morning in Brahma Muhurta. Anyway, in Vrindavan, he was there for many years, and there was a lot of mafia type people trying to run Vrindavan, and ISKCON was a threat to them. So Kadamba Kanana Maharaj took a bullet for Krishna. If you really think about it, he put his life on the line. We were in America, he was in Australia and Vrindavan, but we would meet every couple of years. Then he took sannyas. Some just some sannyasis just ignore ladies, but he was not on that bodily concept and just treated us like devotees. He was here in New York helping with the here, as he saw New York is so important for Krishna consciousness. One evening I was downstairs and he was sitting with a lot of his disciples, and he called me over and told me about his next journey, that he would go to Vrindavan and then he was going to live in Vrindavan. He was really, really conscious of what he was doing. Also, he was showing us how to live and be with Krishna. I really admire him doing that. As Tulsidas said earlier, he was 100% surrendered to Srila Prabhupada. The last time we saw Maharaj was at Kushan Sarovar in Vrindavan. This last Kartik, the Vrindavan mellows were so incredible. We all felt transported into Krishna's presence by his transcendental sound vibration. When I think of him, it's in this mood of kirtan and surrender. Kadamba Maharaj Ki Jai.
Thank you very much, Shanti. Next, Sevika to come forward, and after that, Amala Purana Guru.
So I first heard about Guru Maharaj through his kirtan, and I was really eager to meet him. So as soon as he came to New York and I heard about it, I just made my way, and I attended a program which was in Queens, and I was late to the program, so I rushed in and Maharaj was singing already. And I just took out my cartels and I started playing, and I was so absorbed with the moment. I couldn't believe I was finally meeting him because he was like a celebrity to me. And even after throughout the program, I was so fortunate I got to speak to him. And I told Maharaj, I said, Maharaj, I feel like, my spiritual life is kind of stagnant. And I don't know, so how can I increase my spiritual life? And he said, it's like, I see you love kirtan, so you should use kirtan. I said, really? You saw that I love kirtan? And he smiled and he nodded, and I said, wow. So then that was basically the first time I met Maharaj. So then right after that, it's like my spiritual life took a whole different turn because I found myself involved in so many services. Like, I would never have imagined me going out and doing harinam. So I started doing that, and like just so many different types of service. I found myself coming to the temple more often. So I think this is because of the Guru's mercy. I mean, at that point I didn't know he was going to be my spiritual master. But now to think about it, I actually got instruction the very first time that I met him. So I think Maharaj knew though, because after I got initiation and I spoke with him the same day later, I said, Maharaj, thank you for accepting me as your disciple. And he said, yeah, we made that connection long ago, so I think he already knew. Maharaj is very inspirational. He inspired me so much, especially to do kirtan. Like one time, after I gave my beads to Maharaj for initiation, he turned to my god sister, Anasuya, and he said, he's like, this is Devika. She does kirtan. She plays the mridanga. So he's always trying to, to connect us, because we are a family. And I'm really thankful to have this family, for Guru Maharaj, for connecting me to the Dhamma and for giving me this amazing God family. So I think we should always definitely remember that we are a family, and even if Guru Maharaj isn't here, it's like we're connected. I think Maharaj is very, very powerful, and he shows the sign that, even during his time when he was sick, he showed so much strength, and I think that on its own is inspiring because, he didn't take this pain medication, so just think about it, when we're going through little things in our day, we can reflect upon Maharaj and say, wow, our spiritual master showed this sign of strength, we can do it. So I think this definitely inspired me, so I try to think about it, often. Guru Maharaj is very brave as well, with just his life is like a movie, an action movie from his young age, going through all of these adventures, making his way to India, this whole thing, I think it should be a movie. It shows that he's very, very brave, even being held at gunpoint, being shot, recovering, dragging himself out of the bathroom, being shot. This is so much strength that he shows. And finally, Maharaj is very, very merciful. He came to America and he made such a change, especially in my life, and I'm really, really thankful for that. Kadamba Kanana Swami, Prabhupada,
All round of applause at first, and then somebody other. Guru Maharaj, I would like to offer my respectful obeisances to your Honorable State. I met Guru Maharaj first in 2019 at Bliss Kitchen in upstate New York. And very first day, I made a connection with him. And after the program, I asked Guru Maharaj that, can you come to my house for Kirtan? And he said, yes, why not? You have to see call Mithun Prabhu over here in Brooklyn Temple and set up the program, and then I'll come. So next time when he comes back in August or September, then Sanjay called him, Mithun Prabhu, and fixed the program. And first time he came to our house in December 2019, and there were more than 150 devotees. And he liked that we gathered so many devotees from Krishna consciousness and all. And then onwards, whenever he came to New York, he always came to our house and did the Kirtan and inspired us for Krishna consciousness. And he made that connection
that you can never forget. Last year, when we went to Sadhu Sangha, and very first day when I saw him, I went to him and I talked to him. He said that I have this disease and I have only 6 months. And he broke that. He broke over there and he said, you don't need to tell your wife. And we are not going to tell this anybody else right now. I will broke this news in 1st June to everybody. So he went at church and he showed us how to do the church and all. So I started that too. And after a couple of days in Sadhu Sangha, I got the opportunity to drive him from hotel to many places, Sadhu Sangha. He described his illness in so detail that how it started, what is the procedure I did, what is this, what medicine I have to, what, all the details minutely that Maharaj says that I'm going through this much of pain. When we talk about all that, I say, Maharaj, I have a couple of friends who says, what do you think that I have never tried this, but this is it. I have no time left now. I have to go through this. I don't want to take the chemotherapy and all this. And at the last, when we see him in Vrindavan, he shows us the way to how to win over the deity. So I'm so inspired with his all good qualities what he shows, and we like to continue this Krishna consciousness by what the way he is showing us. Hare Krishna. Kanana Maharaj Ji.
And then after that, some people.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for giving me chance. Thank you, Gurudev, for accepting me as your disciple. It's a kind of very big thing to me, because what happened? We joined the Krishna Council, like ISKCON. We didn't join the ISKCON, but we were listening to Kirtan and all. And one day we were listening to Kirtan on YouTube, and we liked the Kirtan. So the first Kirtan we heard, and we got connected with Gurudev. And then, then we kept listening to Kirtan and all. And then one day what happened, we went to CNJ. Somebody invited us to, give a program in CNJ. Come. I said, okay, fine. We went there. And then I saw one sannyasi sitting there, singing the Kirtan. And then I told my Prabhu, Prabhu, this is the God. Actually, we were not in ISKCON, so we didn't know how to speak and all. So I said, it's the same guy, we are listening to Kirtan. And he said, no, he is not, he is a YouTuber. How can he be here? I said, no, this is the one. And then we looked at the name and all, and we didn't know what spiritual name and all. And then we said, wow, he's the one, he's the one. And then first instant, we got so connected. As Prabhu said, Guru Maharaj made connection. Whoever he meets, he made the connection. And he really made that connection. And it was kind of eye-to-eye contact. He was singing there, but still eye-to-eye contact. And I felt some current passed through, and went through my body. And I was kind of shivering, sitting there and observing his kirtan and shivering. And I was just waiting, how and when can I talk to him? How can I, what should I tell him? I was so excited. I don't know, like at that time I felt like I was talking or, looking at the Krishna Swayam. That's what the feeling Guru Maharaj gave. And since that day, we didn't know what is initiation, what is sannyasi, but since then we got connected with Guru Maharaj. And then whatever chance he gave us to serve, we served. But I always feel that it was not enough. And I was lamenting for that, during his last days, not very last days, but I was talking to him and asking him, we didn't get enough chance to serve him. We have very short relation. It's just couple of years, just 1.5 years, 2 years, I would say. Then he said, I'm not going anywhere. You are not going to lose your chance to serve me. You have all time to serve me. I'm going to give you a lot of responsibilities. You have to keep serving. So don't worry that physically I am not present, but I am always there. And be mindful. Whenever you are chanting, I am watching. I said, yeah, you are watching. And I feel that. Whenever we chant, we feel that he is watching. He is making sure that we have to do our round properly. So, and one realization I have that, after he went, I feel he is more present in my life. Before, we had discussed that he was not here in USA, then because of he's in Europe, he's in Vrindavan. But then he said, now I feel more present in my life. So thank you so much, Alan. If I talk about Guru Maharaj, we can talk all day long, but because of time limitation, I have to end it. So thank you so much, Hare Krishna. His Holiness Kanana Swami Maharaj Ji.
Thank you very much, Anjali Mataji. Sanket Prabhu, and after that, Aditya Mataji.
Please accept my humble obeisances to the Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. On this auspicious day, I want to take this opportunity and glorify Guru Maharaj and whatever he has done through me for this spiritual journey. So I don't have much association with Guru Maharaj. It's been about 2.5 years I've been associated with Guru Maharaj. And through my childhood friend Maharaj and his wife Vyasa. So I got connected, as Maharaj mentioned, that I got connected with him through his kirtan also. When he called upon at his house, I was there, I was part of that sangha also. And I got connected through his kirtan, and then throughout that day, from that day onwards, I thought that what's this spiritual life is all about? What is the purpose of this spiritual life? And why everybody is going into this Krishna consciousness? So during that time, I got connected. I talked to him, not only few moments only, but he talked about certain things about the spiritual life, bhakti yoga, and all that stuff. So that was my first moment, and that was my first day of interaction with Guru Maharaj. Throughout these 2.5 years, whenever he was in New York, New Jersey area, I was always part of this kind of seva or service that Amala Purana Prabhu or Sanjay Dasi already did for him, and I was part of that seva also. I was going with them each and every program also, and going giving him a prasadam and all that stuff. So that was kind of association I made with him, and then my longest longest association with him was last year Sadhu Sangha in Salt Lake City. So I was also part of same group, and I was also giving transportation to the Guru Maharaj, both the Jayagada Guru Maharaj and Kadamba Swami Maharaj also, from hotel to the venue where the Satsanga was happening. So that 3-4 days also I really got connected with him. I heard his powerful kirtans. I also met him personally, and he gave me a couple of minutes during those Sadhu Sanghas night when Kamala Purana was picking up car from the parking lot, and I was with him for a few times also. And he told me one time, and it was already, I think he was already monitoring me, and he was also watching me that what exactly I've been doing and in this particular movement. And he said that when are you going to take initiation? What's your process and what's your thought about that? I said, Guru Maharaj, as you know that I've been following on most of the regulatory principle of ISKCON. I've been doing 16 rounds Japa, but that's the biggest hurdle for me is no onion garlic food. That's not easy for me to give up. So he motivated me that time. He said that that's very normal, very individual thing that you can do it easily. You can remove that hurdles. You can get rid of that no onion garlic food easily. But I'm just telling you that you are ready and you should move forward. Don't miss the boat. So that was the word. That was the sentence struck on my mind. And that was during the Sadhu Sangha. I was not aware about his health condition that time also. But immediately that gave me kind of motivation to go and do the next steps. And then I got opportunity to get initiated. My first initiation was done here itself in this hall also. So I'm really fortunate to have him in my life, and he gave me really good path to do Bhakti Yoga and grow in this journey. He also taught us how to do the art of living, and he also taught us how to do art of death also. During his last 1 month of pain that he was going through in Vrindavan, I was part of that. I was also there, and I got opportunity to see him also. And I felt his pain, but at the same time I also learned how he's managing also. So that is really good lesson for us also. Srila Prabhupada,
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Next is Aditya, and after that we'll ask Vandana Dasi. Of course.
I first met Maharaj in 2015. I was in Kanana, and at that time I had actually just started looking for a spiritual master. And so one of the first qualities I want to work by about Maharaj is his ability to really make you feel at ease and welcome and part of this Sankirtan movement. Because I was at Kanana and I was staying at the ashram there, and I was very nervous around anyone wearing a saffron. And I had met a few of the different Maharajas that were visiting there at the time. But as soon as I met Kadamba Maharaj, he had this ability to quickly make me feel very at ease and welcome in his presence. And also, I feel many of us can agree that when Maharaj would be class, we would feel that somehow, wow, he's addressing my exact problem. walking, in front of us, and we would all be behind. And it was fantastic to deliver the Holy Name like that to so many different people, which is the second quality of Maharaj, which I love so much and I find so inspiring, is this giving out the Holy Name, inspiring everybody, is finding some circumstance to be able to bring it to the most, seemingly unqualified persons who may or may not be ready, but he makes it so natural, so full of joy, and so wonderful and loving like that. So after some time, I actually left the UK and I went to stay in Vrindavan. And then in the year 2018, Maharaj came to Vrindavan and he stayed for some time because he had some paperwork to do. And this meant he was kind of quote-unquote stuck in Vrindavan. And I was really happy about this because it was a time when it wasn't the Parikram, because at the Parikram there's so many disciples, it was hard to find some service to give and to find some association time. And so I was able to serve Giriraj and Maharaj, and it was very sweet time. And Maharaj, as one of us, I think it was Tulsi, mentioned about how the conquering of the heart, it's one of Maharaj's phrases, and I feel like Maharaj conquered my heart when I met him there at Kanana. I forgot something as well, because the next thing that happened is that same span of time when I met him at Kanana, we went on Harinam to the town where I grew up, where I used to do my teenage years and hanging out and all this stuff, and we went on Harinam down the high street where I used to be, and for me that was such a liberating experience, and I think that's when I decided he was my Guru Maharaj, and he conquered my heart then. But then, somehow, Krishna's arrangement, when I was serving Maharaj in Vrindavan, after some time he sent me a beautiful message, and he told me that I had actually done the same for him because I had presented many gifts for Giriraj, which he knew were special, simple but special things. And then it was very nice because our relationship grew, and it was mentioned previously that Maharaj has wonderful ways of being able to express ideas, and so then we started to do that. I started to make some small films, which I never completed, but I got all the footage for it. So at some point I will carry on doing that work for Maharaj, and you will see that it will go on. I'll give you to do the bonus. So thank you so much, and thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you very much, Aditya. Next we ask Vandana Vyasa to come forward, and after that, Prabhu Vishnupuri.
I went to Vrindavan right before Guru Maharaj passed away. At that time, ladies had been restricted from entering the apartment as his health had been steeply declining and he was preparing to transition out of this world. I had written a Vyasa Puja offering for the book in February, and I had asked my husband if he could read it to him. But at that point, he had withdrawn to an internal state, so it wasn't possible. So with your permission and the timekeeper's permission, I'll read the offering. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. The Vaishnava's capacity for kindness and compassion is lauded in the scriptures. In the Bhagavad Gita 12:13, the Lord testifies that a devotee who is, quote, a kind friend to all living entities is dear to him. In the Bhagavatam purport to 5.18.12, Srila Prabhupada lists kindness as the very first of the 26 good qualities exhibited by the devotee. And again, in the Bhagavatam 3.7.36, Vidura speaks of the kindness of gurus, saying, quote, "Those who are spiritual masters are very kind to the needy. They are always kind to their followers, disciples, and sons, and without being asked by them, the spiritual master describes all that is knowledge." From these sources, we can understand that kindness is an inherent Vaishnava quality, is integral to devotional life, and is symptomatic of a self-realized acharya. But we also read that their kindness is not an ordinary kindness. As Vidura implies, the spiritual master's kindness ultimately results in the transfer of transcendental knowledge. Dear Gurudev, to me, you are the embodiment of such transcendental kindness, of which I have been the undeserving recipient. Why do I have to be the first one? To clap me. Your kindness came through when you pushed me to dive into the fathomless depths of spiritual life through initiation. You had faith in me when I had no such faith in myself, and I dove in because of your encouragement. I couldn't be more grateful because it is just glorious in the water. Your kindness came through when you gave me my name, Vandanabasi. Through this name, you blessed me with a lifelong relationship with prayer and a continuous meditation on the prayers of our acharyas. Your kindness came through when you generously gave your shelter when I was in need. You were present for many joyful milestones, our wedding, our first apartment in Chinatown, and in times of misfortune and tragedy not to be recounted here. Most importantly, your kindness came through your liberal distribution of your most precious gift, that of your time, your sangha, your very self. Today I am treasuring the memory of the last time you were here in New York, when Vasudeva and I walked with you to Fort Greene Park in Brooklyn. We sat in the bare grass, savoring the late summer sun with our feet planted firmly in the earth, and listened to the gentle guitar strumming from your Sweetly recording. I watched as the nearby great oak's branches swayed back and forth in the soft breeze, a giant peacock fan offering you oblations. You provided me with sage guidance in that day, and in your infinite kindness and mercy offered me initiation. I never wanted that day to end. I was certain that you had transported me directly to Sweet itself through your presence. But as the sun slipped faster and faster towards the horizon, duty called you away and we parted. Dear Gurudev, the stories I have recounted here are an infinitesimal piece of a rich legacy. You are widely known for your kindness. You welcome and embrace nearly the entire spectrum of humanity, with no regard for their background, piety, or even interest in spirituality. And then you bring us all to Krishna. You are a true friend of the people because your kindness is a boat which helps us cross any apparent obstacles to bring us closer to Krishna. In a class you gave in Radhadesh on 29th April 2010, you said, "I would be so pleased if my disciples would be known for their extraordinary kindness. I think that it would be a real victory because kindness is what really conquers. It is what truly will make a difference." Maharaj, I am neither learned in the scriptures, nor an excellent kirtaniya, nor do I have any particularly useful skills. But I have the great blessing of having you as a spiritual master, who has provided me with an example of how to walk through the world. My only aspiration is to make you proud of the way that I represent you in this world as your spiritual daughter.
And I would like to begin by cultivating the transcendental kindness that you embody. I pray that this makes me dear to the Vaishnavas, so that I might have the chance of capturing the merciful glance of Guru and Goranga. With everlasting gratitude, I remain your servant, Kanana.
Thank you very much, and ask for permission to come forward, and after that, Judge Bhakti and Vyasa.
All glories to Guru Maharaj, all glories to Dev Maharaj, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, as I was thinking of what I would speak of as an offering to my Guru Maharaj, one verse came to my mind, and it's one of my favorite verses, and this verse really encapsulates all pure devotees of Krishna, or in one word they call sadhus. So, most of you know this verse, called Tikshava Karanika Surida Sarvadehina Ajata Shastra Shanta Sadhava Sadhu Bhushana. So Maharaj really embodied all these 7 qualities in this verse. So Titikshava, he was extremely tolerant. Tolerance comes in 2 forms. One is tolerance of the mind and tolerance of the body. So mental tolerance and physical tolerance. Maharaj, towards the last few days of his life, few weeks of his life, he was extremely tolerant in terms of his bodily pain that he was experiencing. And prior to that, he was, all the disciples that he had, they're kind of on the rebellious side. So to tolerate us it's a lot of mental pressure, and he did it to the best of his ability and nothing short of perfection. For all the offenses that we've caused him, he never took it personally, he just let it go and just tolerated us. And then there's Karunika, merciful. Maharaj is also the embodiment of Nityananda Prabhu. Maharaj often said that he's more of the Nityananda than Mahaprabhu because he accepts anyone and everyone, and he's always wanting to accept anyone and everyone's. He wants to give everyone shelter to whoever wants to take a shelter, and he never says no to anyone. And I really found this peculiar because after all this traveling that I did with Maharaj for a few months last year, he really did not reject anyone. Anyone who would come up to him, whether it be a beggar on the street in Soweto in South Africa, or it would be a businessman on the airport, just asking him what he's doing, sitting beside him on the business class seat, Maharaj would just start the conversation and just give that person their mercy and his whole self. Like in that moment, Maharaj was completely purchased by that person, and he would just give his time completely. Then Surita, he was literally friendly to every single living entity that he met. I remember when I was with Maharaj in Sumatra in Germany, he got COVID. This was a year and a half ago, or 2 years ago. And he was quarantined in his room and he couldn't do anything. So he couldn't come out, he was sick, he was fatigued, he was weak. So what he would do is he would open the window, look out of the window and chant, and just chant loudly. And I asked him one day, Maharaj, why are you chanting so loudly? Because usually you chant to yourself. And he told me, well, these birds, these trees, these plants, they're not going to get liberated, so someone has to do something. And yes, in the moment it might have seemed like, oh wow, what a selfish or what a cocky person he is. But when I thought about it a little later, 5 minutes after that, I realized that's true. They're all living entities. I'm seeing it from material vision. I'm just seeing it as the grass and the tree and the bug. And Maharaj saw it from a spiritual vision. And he really embodied that verse in the Bhagavad Gita where it says, a humble sage with their virtue of knowledge sees everything, every living entity is the same. And that made me really realize that I had chosen the right spiritual master indeed. So that was that. And then Ajata Shastra, he never had any enemies. Maharaj, even after he got shot in Vrindavan in 95, I asked him about this. Maharaj, do you despise or do you ever envy the person who shot you? He was like, no, I just wish I could ask him why he did it. I know the reason why he did it, but I want to know why. Like what instigated him to do that. So this just shows that although he was shot in such a terrible area and causing so much pain for the rest of his life, which was one of the reasons why he left his body so early, he never hated that person. He felt compassion for that person, and that's something that I really appreciate, that we get instigated and bothered by such little things these days, whether it could be someone not wishing us Hare Krishna, or someone speaking to us a little roughly or aggressively, and we take it to heart. But Maharaj took a bullet. He took a bullet for Srila Prabhupada. And what have we done for Srila Prabhupada? Maharaj took a bullet. He constructed so many temples. Not temples, but he constructed so many projects. He worked on them. He preached. He sang his heart out, his lungs out, his throat out. And we are out here complaining about little things. So that made me really value Maharaj's personality, who he was, his originality. Because you don't see that these days. Everyone's trying to be someone else. But Maharaj was never shy from being himself. He was always himself, and he always tried to encourage others to be themselves as well. He always looked for the qualities in themselves that they themselves didn't know. So these are the qualities of our Guru Maharaj, and I really wish everyone, each of us could spend more time with him personally, but his Vani is what we have to live on, and there's plenty of Vani out there. All glories to Prabhupada and Gopa Prabhu in Vrindavan for giving us all of that. It's like a database of Maharaj's videos and lectures. So, like Maharaj said, please just chant your 16 rounds and follow the 4 good principles. But I think in addition to that, we should also take some time to listen to his lectures. I myself don't do that, but maybe let me put this out there so I start myself. So, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Next Jagadatri, and after that, we'll ask Pushpanjali to come forward.
So Maharaj used to like to joke that we live our lives and we cannot give our lives completely to Krishna, and he would say like, oh, a little bit for me and a little bit for Krishna. So now I want to speak something for Guru Maharaj, and I guess I'll leave the feast for myself later. So Hare Krishna, dear Guru Maharaj. Please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to you, all glories to Jayadeva Swami, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. I remember the day when I asked you for shelter. It was last-minute arrangement on a Friday morning before your flight. We met in your room on McDougall Street. The morning was sunny. He was joyful, as always when he was finally in New York City. You told me, okay, let's go back together, back to Godhead. We laughed for a minute, and all of a sudden you said, let's be serious about serious things. I don't remember what exactly you were saying, but you asked me a question. What do you have a face for? And since then, it's been my second point. Do I have enough faith in my spiritual masters? Do I have faith in Mahamantra and scriptures? Do I have faith in Krishna? Because sometimes it's so hard to say yes. But honestly, the most powerful faith I have ever experienced is the faith of a guru in his disciples. Your endless faith in us, your lost kids. It was amazing to see how deeply you were able to look into our hearts, to take the best you could find there and bring it up to the surface. You were so loving and encouraging. You were empowering us by your example. Every time I feel like I can do something, I'm asking myself, am I being shot right now? Am I breathing? And if the answer is no, it means I can do it. If somebody would ask me to describe your only in a couple of words, I would say unstoppable and joyful. You had such a strong attachment to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement that wherever you do, you would do with so much joy, and it was almost impossible not to be eager to always be in your association. In the Vyasa Puja book for His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, there is a description of what Vyasa Puja means. And in the end it says, finally, and the most importantly, we recall the famous line in Srila Prabhupada's 1961 offering at his Guru Maharaj's Vyasa Puja. A festival of flowers and fruits is not the real worship. One who serves the Guru's message really worships him. This then is the ultimate meaning of Vyasa Puja, to serve Srila Prabhupada's message on Vyasa Puja day, as well as every other day of the year, with sincere surrender and love. So I will end my offering to you with your own words from that Vyasa Puja book, because I wouldn't ever be able to say it better. I'm one who hears it all, but still falls short. However, my good fortune is that I have been allowed to do some service. I cannot count the blessings you have brought into my life. Now I'm praying that all your teachings may manifest in my heart, and that I may render some useful service and then remember of my life. The servant Jagadath Devidasi. Also, we have one god sister who joined here in New York. She met Guru Maharaj here in New York, but she moved to Spain, where she barely has an association with devotees, and Maharaj told her to speak to New York Sangha, and as her Vyasa Puja offering, she wrote a poem for Maharaj, which I'd like to quickly read. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, my dear Guru Maharaj. All glories to His Holiness Jayadeva Swami. All glories to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. My weak material eyes are totally blind before Krishna, trying to see Him through yours, perceiving with care your words. Before every wrong tread, your voice is guiding. No compromising, just follow my steps. And side me a huge piece of dirt. I'm inspired by your dimensionless heart, loving, grateful, vibrant. My shell of life becoming profound, beat loose in material's nature bounds. Surrounded with spiritual sound, I know you are chanting with me every round. My dear spiritual Father, my true Elogalusha, merciful, full of compassion, promise warrior of Chaitanya's mission. You are my shelter, my pain relief, my hope for love and tranquility. I'm bothered at your lotus feet with gratitude and humility. Your humble servant, Nandakini, Dhamma. Thanks so much for appreciating.
Thank you very much. And after that, we'll ask Janata Bhagavan to take.
Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Kadamba Kanana Swami Namani Namani Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Guru Dasa Jayapeta Swami Namani Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you. All glories to His Holiness Jayapeta Swami. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. It is by Krishna's mercy and arrangement that I received initiation from you, dear beloved Guru Maharaj, on that memorable day in 2022, June 10th, a Friday marking the beginning of the New York Ratha Yatra Festival. This day was truly transcendental. Guru Maharaj, you had come to New York, Radha Govinda Mandir Temple in the first week of June. I was in the Pujari room doing flower garland service. On stepping outside the room, I saw you down the hallway, entering the building. My reaction to seeing you was one of happiness. I was blissful. It was blissful. I had such a happy feeling in my heart and a big smile. As you came down the hallway, getting closer to the Pujari room, you smiled as well with me. You asked me, do you want to go to the transcendental world? As we both smiled, we spoke and shared some experiences we've had with Krishna, showing himself in amazing ways. Little did I know at this point that I was now in the presence of my future Guru, a future that was going to be happening in the not too far future. On June 2nd, I was given a merciful opportunity by Krishna's arrangement to talk further with you. You so mercifully availed yourself to me. We sat on the wooden benches outside the temple room. After engaging in conversation, the next thing that happened was that you told me that you would be doing initiation on Friday, June 10th, in the temple. This was 8 days away from our meeting in that moment. Only Krishna could have made this arrangement. It is with humility and gratitude that I am thankful for this mercy. Since that memorable day, the name Pushpanjali Dasi, given to me by you, has brought much more meaning in striving to serve Krishna. The flower garland service has become so meaningful. It is a meditation in and of itself on Krishna and Radha. It is a great way to connect with Krishna through this service. In striving to follow your instructions to continue to fulfill Srila Prabhupada's mission, I try to share Krishna consciousness with others whenever possible. Guru Maharaj, you are a great inspiration to me. You relentlessly continue to show that no matter what, always strive to follow Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Through your lectures, I learned how to stay on the path of Krishna consciousness. Though one may falter or meet up with obstacles, by continuing to listen, chant, and keep association with devotees. Thank you, dear Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Your humble servant, Pushpanjali Asi.
Thank you very much, Andy. Next channel, Katurani, and then Latanga.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I was totally not expecting me to be speaking at this occasion today because a lot of devotees had signed up for speaking. But I'm very grateful to Haridas Prabhu, who originally started that this is just an opportunity to share our hearts. So, my first encounter with Guru Maharaj was giving him a nice bouquet, saffron colored bouquet, and that's how suddenly Mataji recognized what I felt and how I got connected to him. It started all the way again in Sadhu Sangha when Amal Prabhuji introduced me, and I had a lot of questions in my mind, and Guru Maharaj wrote me a note, and I would like to read that note for all of us because it was very, very special and close. So I would like all of us to know what he wrote. This is what he said on Sadhu Sangha Day last year. There is a great river of mercy made of the chanting of the holy name. When we enter these waters, at first we push ourselves through the water. When we go deeper, the current will grab us and automatically take us to Krishna. On the bank of the river, there are many distractions, relationships with people and places and dreams in this world. Don't waste time with the dreams. Enter deep into the waters of chanting. Then all the confusion will disappear. Everything will become crystal clear. So please chant, listen to Kirtan, and associate with devotees. That's the message I got, and I knew that day. The message that Krishna is trying to send me. I have been in the search for a spiritual master, but I never knew how it's going to manifest, and that happened in that way. And so it was just the impossible that happened, and how I got initiated. It was right here it happened last year. I'm very, very happy and grateful that the family that Guru Maharaj has around all of us, all the devotees, they are so lucky. And I get to see his extension of his nature in each one of us and how he has empowered all of us. Starting from Vasudeva Prabhu, I never knew how we get connected, but it happened, and how Guru Maharaj has inspired all of us to be exchanging our lives, the love of exchange between each other, amongst all of us, amongst all the devotees. So I get to see and experience that personally. I am so grateful that Guru Maharaj had given us so much mercy and so much access to such a supreme ocean of love and mercy, that any time of the day, any moment, you can just tap into that energy and frequency and connect to the higher consciousness. So I'm very happy that Guru Maharaj came in our lives. I just want to quote Guru Maharaj's
line that he has written in his Parikrama book and would end this. Each one of us is discovering the qualities of Krishna. Eventually, love awakens in the heart. His Holiness Kadamba Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you very much, Vyasa. This is Prabhu.
One thing that stands out in my relationship with Guru Maharaj is the friendship. I feel like he's always been my best friend. And like other devotees share, he is really expert in touching people's heart and really connecting with whomever was there to receive the mercy. He was always looking to give out the mercy. So this is something that really conquered me, just like he says, just conquered. He gave a perfect example. He conquered me with his friendship and kindness. And he showed me also something very important, which you don't see so often, is that Krishna consciousness is actually the coolest thing in the world. It's not just some dry philosophy and some practice and just chanting and that's it. And so, in this way, together we embarked on many transcendental adventures. And it was so fun, so nourishing for my spiritual life. And of course for all his disciples, through pastimes and jokes and transcendental adventures. Just like Nityananda Prabhu, when he was present in Bengal, he was making these super kirtans and he was consuming entire villages and everybody was going mad. And the old people were dancing on the branches of the woods, on the trees. The young people were eradicating trees from the ground after 30 days of kirtan. And we all know Guru Maharaj was the king of kirtan, and he really gave himself into that service. And he was also the guru in my life. That authoritative figure, even though he was so friendly, you could be so familiar with him, still jokingly, he was always instructive. His exemplary behavior. A great father that had a very weighty word. All his words were very solid. It was like one time we were in the Czech summer camp and we were about to leave, and he wanted me to get something. And I went there and I saw this cheese. It was a big chunk, maybe 1 pound, half a pound of cheese. And I took the whole thing and I brought it to him. And he said, that's a lot of cheese, I just take just a little bit. And I was like, oh. I'll make you with this amount and this one I'll keep for later. And he told me, be careful, you have to come back if you do these things. Don't be greedy. Or his solid sadhana, flying all around the world, landing for Janmashtami in Ludhiana, and going through the whole festival and dealing with all the devotees and disciples. The next day, again, up early in the morning, chanting his rounds. And
Maharaj also spoke in his lectures about when you first join, you have this small cup, and they give you a little bit of mercy, and just a little bit, and drink it, and a little bit again, and drink it again. But then, if you start giving this mercy to the others, and then the cup starts growing and growing. Of course, it always grows, but if you give it, you never lose it. It comes back again. And wasn't he having a big bucket? He transformed his cup into a big bucket, and he was just showering everybody with so much mercy. The perfect embodiment of the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. He's always been the perfect example how to serve Krishna. He surrendered with all of his talents, full-fledged, not just little bit. He was such a great musician, such a beautiful voice. He didn't stay just inside of the temple and do some bhajans for himself and for the ashramites. No, he went out and he gave out everything. And this was his most precious example. He wanted everybody, every single one of us to try to do something extraordinary according to his own capacity. And this is something very special for me because this is the essence of Krishna consciousness. To find that thing that you like and to build it up, give out the mercy, and then go back home, back together. A very rare person, a true gentleman. So I'm very grateful for his association and guidance. Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj, and see you soon. Hare Krishna.
So Namaskaram Kanana Swami Maharaj ki. Thank you very much to all the devotees who made their offerings. So it was a very wonderful experience to share this with you. We'd like to end this section of the ceremony by giving Maharaj the opportunity to speak. So by the mercy of modern technology, Maharaj can be here with us. So generally, for those who has ever attended the Vyasa Puja celebrations, Maharaj would also end off, after all the disciples have made their offerings, he would also speak to them and address them. And in these addresses, he would usually, his focus would definitely be on instructing his disciples. And we chose a clip, obviously. There's many things we could show, but we chose a section of Maharaj's teaching, so we really expressed a core characteristic of what he would like his disciples to embody. And we will share this now with you, and after that we will go do Pushpanjali and Guru Puja. This is from a Vyasa Puja address in 2011. So something it's been with Maharaj for a while. Holiness Kanana Swami Maharaj ki. So, as you see, Maharaj, I once, Maharaj's servant for many years, Jananivas Prabhu, who traveled with Maharaj for a long time, and then once, and he sort of, when he stopped that service, and for a few years he was very busy, and he sort of didn't really stay in touch, and then he came back after a few years, and then we were again with Maharaj, one of Maharaj's classes, and then he said, and after the class he came to me and said, and we were speaking with him, and he says, wow, he's saying the same thing. It was very interesting. He said, yeah, we saw it. And we see here from 2011, Maharaj has certain themes that he would say again and again, because the problem is not that we do not know. The problem is really much deeper than that in spiritual life. There's no new information that we can receive. But the difficulty is that there's a certain kind of faith that needs to be developed. So as Maharaj said here, one of his main points that he really wanted to carry over to his disciples is that we have to have faith that if we will take care to nourish ourselves, from that discipline and strength and determination will come. But we see, to be able to do that, it doesn't mean now in the modern world there's so much talk about self-care, and it's all about, oftentimes it's used as an excuse, realistically, for self-indulgence, for being selfish. But we see that no, it means quite a disciplined approach, a disciplined effort in focusing our priorities on what will actually bring effective results in our life. And that's what we see from Maharaj. His point was that he did not waste time because he reserved the little bit of time that he had, even in a very hectic schedule. He would spend that on those things that he know will bring spiritual strength and that will nourish his devotional life. And so it's this fascinating combination between discipline and nourishment, how those two things come together in one person. And it really is something that we have to understand for most of us. Our problem is that in the beginning stages of our spiritual life, we do not really have full faith that the difficulties and the problems that we experience are due to a lack of absorption in Krishna consciousness. And therefore we take the limited time and energy that we have and we invest it in other solutions, other things we think will make a difference. And so many things might help a bit, but we see that Maharaj's example was that to prioritize the simple deep absorption in Krishna consciousness, that is really what will make the difference. And this is tightly wound up with Maharaj's great emphasis on not being afraid of becoming an individual and being who we are. He would often say, he was once in his room and he was telling me that there's a tendency when we take the spiritual life that we do not want to really acknowledge the fact that we are individual persons with desires and our own personalities, and for a while sometimes we suspend it completely and we turn away from ourselves. He says, but you can do that for a while. Do it for a while. Try to act as if you're something that you are not. Try to deny the fact that for who you really are and what you are, both in a conventional sense and also in an ultimate sense. But he said, but one day what will happen is you will turn a corner and you will run into yourself when you least expect it. And at that point, the only thing that can really help us in dealing with the fact that we are individuals with our own desires is to invest in our purity and also invest in our own personal absorption of Krishna consciousness. That was his message. That is the only thing that will save us. And that can only be done by really prioritizing it. So Maharaj once told me also, he said that, no, Harivilas, you have to become merciful. Which he told so many different disciples. We have to become merciful, like he also said here. But he said, but to be merciful, you need to be strong. There's the interesting irony of that. The unexpected reality of mercy requires great strength. Because without strength, we will not be able to be merciful. Because to be merciful takes a lot out of us, requires a lot. So when he said that, I was quiet for a little bit, and I was thinking, well, okay, it's one thing to be merciful, but how do we become strong? So I asked him, so Maharaj, how do we develop strength? And he thought about it for a bit, and he said, you know, you just have to stick it out. You have to stick it out. You have to stick to it. You have to stick to your disciplined, concentrated effort to practice Krishna consciousness. Stick to your responsibilities. Continue investing in it. And with time, strength arises. Strength is not something that can be developed quickly. It's developed over many years, which we also see in Maharaj's life. And one of my but one of the most poignant aspects of Maharaj's life is the fact that he himself left Krishna consciousness twice in his earlier years, when he just got into it. 2 times he was like, this is just, I don't know if I can commit to this. And he stepped out. And then again he came, and then the final time actually was when he was in a temple in Amsterdam. And because at that time also the Hare Krishna movement was very different. Now we have become a little more human, but in the early days it was very militaristic. And even though it was very powerful and very inspirational, there was also an element of it that was quite rigid. So he sometimes struggled with that in the beginning, because he stayed a human throughout his whole time. And but then one day he left after some experience with someone, and then there was a devotee in the ashram, in the temple at that time, older devotee from Africa, Mahavir. And then when Kanana Maharaj left, at that time he was not initiated, I think. Then this devotee, he said, now I will fast until he comes back. Then somehow the word reached Maharaj. So he left the temple, he was living outside, and some devotee came and told him, he said, listen, Mahavir, he says he's going to fast until you come back, and he's not afraid of dying. He will fast until death if you don't come back. So then Maharaj, he said he waited for 3 days. And then he said, okay, then he went back. And then when he went back to the temple, he said at that point, Mahavir then, he took him under his shelter. And he said, now I will show you how to survive, how to do it. And then he is the one who taught him. Get up very early, chant all his rounds, and he would every day chant Bhagavad Gita slokas. And in this way, he started, that's what he had this experience of understanding, that the solution to be able to tolerate external difficulties, difficult priorities, is this deep foundation. And from that we get strength. And that really is one of Maharaj's core teachings. And as all of us who are disciples of Maharaj, followers of him, we have to ask ourselves, where are we going to get that inspiration? What is your program for becoming absorbed? There's a variety of options, but that is something really that we have to answer ourselves, and as his disciples, to make that a priority in our life, because that is really one of his primary focuses on Krishna consciousness, to make sure his disciples are absorbed and nourished, and from that, the strength that we get from that is what we'll use to make our contribution. So, His Holiness Kanana Swami Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So we'll now go to the next part of our program, which is the Pushpanjali and the Guru Puja offering. So we'll hand over to Vyasa Prabhu, who will guide us through the next steps in the process.
So next item is Pushpanjali. As we said in the introduction, Vyasa Puja is worshipping the spiritual master, but not just the spiritual master. Through him we worship our entire Guru Varga, our entire disciplic succession. That's why we chant many shlokas addressing, worshipping our entire disciplic succession. We need a few people, few devotees to just take away the offerings, because that's where we're going to offer the petals. They can just be placed there behind on the benches or wherever. Maybe one of the locals can direct them where to take things. So I'll chant all the mantras, then we chant Guru Maharaj's pranam mantra 3 times. First time we chant, then we'll offer flowers, and then they offer obeisances, and then again we chant his pranam, and then again we offer flowers, and like that. We do that 3 times. So the flower, don't just throw your flowers, please. We're not with so many that we need to do that. We can just come forward and come a little quickly, and all this like Pushpanjali means actually with folded hands you offer your flowers. It's a worshipable thing. So just don't just throw, just come forward, and I'll leave enough time so that between the offerings, so that you can. So I'll say Esha Pushpanjali after all the prayers, then you can offer your flowers. That will take a little while. Yeah. So Hari Vilas Prabhu was telling us that we need strength. Actually, Guru Maharaj wrote me in 2020. He said, "May Lord Nityananda give you the strength of transcendental happiness." So we know that the strength comes from the representative of Lord Nityananda, the Guru, by following his instructions and by worshipping him. So as we offer these prayers and we offer these flowers, we can pray to him to give us that transcendental strength from within. Give us the transcendental strength of transcendental happiness, which he had so much himself. I saw Guru Maharaj, he was always happy. Always happy. Even if he's physically very disabled, always joyful, always blissful, always joking. Even the very end, he was still joking sometimes that he was physically very disabled and very, very, very grave also, but still very joyful within. So we can pray to him to give us that strength, of transcendental happiness which he had. By just worshipping him from our heart, we can receive that from him, opening our heart to him and receiving that from him. So we'll start now. I'll chant and you can repeat. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Kadamba Kanana Swamin Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayadvaita Swamin Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती इति नामिने श्रीवार्षभानवी देवी दायिताय कृपाब्धये कृष्णसम्बन्ध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाझ श्रीरूपानुग भक्तिद श्रीगौर करुणशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दिनतारिणे रूपानुग विरुद्ध अपसिद्धान्त ध्वन्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्ब प्रसाम्बोधे पदम्भुजाय ते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुग वरायते गौराविर्भाव भूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्टा सज्जनप्रियः वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रीजगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपसिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्यनाम्ने गौरतुष्ये नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं हे कृष्ण करुणसिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकान्त राधाकान्त नमोस्तुते जायतां सुरतौ पंगोर्मम मंद मतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदं भोज राधा मदनमोहन दिव्यद् वृन्दारण्य कल्पद्रुमादः श्रीमद्रत्नागर सिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेव पृष्ठालिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमान् रास रसारंभी वंशीवट तटस्थितः कर्षन् वेणो स्वनेर गोपीर गोपीनाथः श्रियेस्तु नः तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते कदम्ब कानन स्वामिन् इति नामिने एष पुष्पाञ्जलिः His Holiness Srila Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Kadamba Kanana Swamin Iti Namine Esha Pushpanjalihi. His Holiness Srila Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Kadamba Kanana Swamin Iti Namine Esha Pushpanjalihi. His Holiness Srila Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj ki jai, Srila Gurudeva ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
As a finale of our ceremony, there's Arti and Guru Puja, and then afterwards we will have our feast downstairs. Also, just to bring everyone's attention, we have some copies of these Parikram books of Maharaj. If anybody would like to, you can take a look. If you'd like to purchase a copy, you can speak to Prabhu Vishnu Guru. It's $40 for one. It's quite a nice book. If any devotees would like to also give any donations towards this festival, Liz, you're welcome to come see me afterwards, and anything in excess will be given to the Kadamba Foundation, which is also fundraising to continue Maharaj's projects throughout the world. So, okay. People can just come back there. So for any disciples of Maharaj, we also have a gift pack at the back there. You can just go see Prabhu Vishnu with some paraphernalia from Vrindavan. You can go collect it there. Okay. Thank you very much.
संसारदावनललिढलोक त्रनायकारुण्यघनाघनत्वम् संसारदावनललिढलोक त्रनायकारुण्यघनाघनत्वम् प्राप्तस्य कल्याणं गुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् 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 महाप्रभो कीर्तन नृत्य गीता वादित्रमाजन्मनसरसेन महाप्रभो कीर्तन नृत्य गीता वादित्रमाजन्मनसरसेन रोमञ्चकम्पा श्रुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् 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 श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमार्जनादौ श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमार्जनादौ युक्तस्य भक्तं नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् युक्तस्य भक्तं नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम् चातुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसाद स्वत्वन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घान् चातुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसाद स्वत्वन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घान् कृत्वैव तृप्तिं bhajata sadaiva vande guru sri charanarvindam kritvaiva triptim bhajata sadaiva vande guru sri charanarvindam Shri Radhika Madhavayor Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupanam Shri Radhika Madhavayor Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupanam Pratikshana swadhanalolupasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Pratikshana swadhanalolupasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Pratikshana swadhanalolupasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Pratikshana swadhanalolupasya Nikunjayo no ratikeli sedhai Yayali bhir yuktirapekshani Kunjayo no ratikeli sedhai Yayali bhir yuktirapekshani Tatratidakshat Ativallabhasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Tatratidakshat Ativallabhasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Tatratidakshat Ativallabhasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Tatratidaksha Ativallabhasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Sakshadharitvena samasta shastre Yuktastatha bhavyateva sadhi Sakshadharitvena samasta shastre Yuktastatha bhavyateva sadhi Kintu prabhaya priya eva tasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Kintu prabhaya priya eva tasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Kintu prabhaya priya eva tasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Kintu prabhaya Charanarvindam Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado Yasya prasadan nagati kuto priya Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado Yasya prasadan nagati kuto Dhyan stuvanstasya Yashastri Sandham Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Dhayanstu Vanstasya Yashastri Sandham Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam 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 Vande Guru Sri Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Shri Kadamba Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Kadamba Kanana Swami Iti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vyasa Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Kadamba Kanana Swami Guru Maharaj, Kadamba Kanana Swami Guru Maharaj. Jaya Kadamba Kanana Swami Guru Maharaj, Kadamba Kanana Swami Guru Maharaj. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shatra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayom Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtotara Shatra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Thakur Ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद के जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन के। गिरिराज महाराज के। गंगा माई के, यमुना माई के, भक्ति देवी के, तुलसी महारानी के, समवेत भक्त वृंद के। Nitai Gaura Premanande. The auspicious day of appearance of Kadamba Kanana Maharaj Ke. Shiva Kadamba Kanana Maharaj Chavir Bhavatiti Mahamahotsav Ke. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Oh, glories to Guru Gauranga. Oh, glories to His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Now please slowly make your way down to Prasadam. So dear devotees, before you leave, please come to collect something special here.